Very few Hollywood love stories have been as enduring and magical as Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's. For 34 years, they've proved all the naysayers wrong and beaten the statistics to become one of showbiz's longest surviving couples. Isn't it amazing how after 3.5 decades in the public's line of sight, they're still capable of giving us some surprises? Their latest revelation has left fans awestruck. So stick around unless you want to miss out learning what their big news is. They met 50 years ago. Can you imagine knowing your significant other for half a century? Sure, they've been together for 16 years less than that, but they first had a proper introduction in 1968 on the set of the one and only genuine original family band. But from their first meeting, you probably wouldn't have suspected they would one day be a Hollywood power couple. Kurt was only 16 at the time, while Goldie was 21. She told the BBC in 2012 she thought he was kind of cute, but was much too young for her. They went their separate ways. Maybe that chance encounter planted some kind of seed, but it would take some time to take root. Goldie continued to find success in her acting. She won an Oscar for her magnificent performance in Cactus Flower in 1969 and went on to win another in 1980's Private Benjamin. Meanwhile, Kurt was doing everything he could to shake off his reputation of being a child star. Very few actors managed to accomplish this daunting task, but in 1979, he played a very convincing Elvis, then teamed up with John Carpenter for 1981's Escape from New York. With that, he successfully rebranded himself as an action movie star. He went on to continue grooming his persona in Carpenter's The Thing. Kurt and Goldie's love life. After a failed marriage with Gus Triconis, Hawn fell in love and married the musician Bill Hudson. In that marriage, she had 2 children, Kate and Oliver, who would both go on to be actors themselves. Kurt, on the other hand, ended up getting hitched to his Elvis co-star Susan Hubley in '79. That marriage also resulted in a child named Boston. After only 4 years of marriage, Hawn and Hudson would split in 1980, and Russell and Hubley called it quits in 1983. The stage was beginning to be set for a beautiful love story to unfold. An awkward reintroduction. When auditioning for the film Swing Shift in 1983, the two would meet up once again. Russell was floored by how much Hawn had changed since their last encounter when he was a teenager. Unfortunately, he was much too hungover to formulate a very classy greeting. Instead, he nearly made a fool of himself when the words, "Man, you've got a great figure," slipped out of his mouth. To his surprise, his awful pickup line was a success. The two soon found themselves on the dance floor of a swing music club for their first date. In fact, the evening of festivities and libations ended up with a run-in with the cops when Russell had to help Hawn break into her own home after she lost her keys. And even though the evening was memorable, little did the duo know it was going to spawn a lifelong love story that would be the envy of so many. Love is in the air. In just 3 short years, the couple would birth a son, Wyatt, who would continue on the family tradition by becoming a Hollywood actor as well. Additionally, Hawn and Russell would go on to be step-parents to each other's children. Kate looks at Kurt as her father figure. Not only did the two have chemistry in real life, but they meshed well on-screen as well. Like in 1987's comedy Overboard, Kurt has recently expressed the desire to one day work with his partner again. Never put a ring on it. Even though the two have been together for 35 years, they've never officially tied the knot. After all this time, what good would it do anyway? Their kids apparently expressed long ago they didn't want their parents to marry. Maybe better than a ring, Hawn and Russell received their titles on the Hollywood Walk of Fame back in 2017 side by side, in a gesture that honored their long-standing and famously successful relationship. Guests at the event included Reese Witherspoon, whom Hawn described as her biggest fan, and Quentin Tarantino, who worked with Russell in the films Death Proof and The Hateful Eight. Kate Hudson gave an emotional speech. She started off by noting she'd always thought she'd be giving such a speech for a wedding or something, but since that didn't appear to be in the cards, she wanted to take the opportunity to thank them for a sense of normalcy with their kids despite their fame and fortune. The event was also significant for Goldie, as her first film role in 15 years in Snatched was slated for release a week later. In a heartfelt speech, she reminded her fans of her modest beginnings by noting how her parents would have never believed their little girl, who just wanted a normal life, would wind up getting so much more than that. When the time came for Kurt to speak, all he could do was gush about his partner. He planted a wet one on her and stood by her side arm in arm for the whole ceremony. The two looked very much so still in love. Although the two might not be appearing on screen together anytime soon, we can rest assured that their love isn't going anywhere. It looks like they're in it for the long haul. The good news ended up being their devotion of love to each other after all these years. It might not quite be a marriage as some fans have hoped for, but we're willing to bet that what they have together transcends any earthly formalities like marriage. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Tap the bell icon to turn on notifications as well. And you're going to want to stick around to find out how another Hollywood couple made it through heartbreaking tragedy with their love intact. So stay tuned. Speaking of love, Goldie and Kurt are not the only Hollywood couple to make it. Pierce Brosnan and his lovely wife Keely Shea Smith celebrated 25 years together in 2018, and when their anniversary came around, the former Bond actor shared a heartfelt tribute to his wife on social media that melted fans' hearts. For a solid decade, Brosnan played James Bond on the big screen, a man who wasn't exactly known for sticking with one woman, but in real life, he has nothing but devotion to his wife. He may look like a playboy, but he's anything but. Even before he met Keely, he proved himself a man of fidelity and loyalty. He was introduced to his first wife, Cassandra Harris, back in 1974. The two got acquainted through David Harris, the nephew of Richard Harris, at a swanky house party. When he saw her descending a flight of stairs, he was immediately attracted to her. According to him, she was one of the most beautiful women he had seen in his life. The two tied the knot in 1980, and they ended up having a child together. Brosnan also did a noble thing by adopting Harris's children, Charlotte and Chris, in 1986. Cassandra was also the one who suggested to Brosnan he should audition to be James Bond someday. Maybe she had some kind of sixth sense. Tragedy struck. Unfortunately, after 17 years of marriage, Cassandra passed away from ovarian cancer in 1991. Brosnan was absolutely devastated by the loss. The two had shared everything together. The grief was almost too much to bear. In time, however, he was able to regain some of his strength, and eventually he met a young journalist named Keely Shea Smith, who would end up becoming his second wife. This was right around the time he landed the role of James Bond in GoldenEye. Over the next several years, not only would Brosnan and Smith have two children together, Dylan in 1997 and Paris in 2001, but he'd also reprise his role in the Bond films, Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough. 2001 was a big year for Brosnan in another way as well. That was the year he and Smith would cement their union in marriage with the full blessing of their children. Pierce finds bliss once more, only for it to be tested. After losing his first wife to cancer, Brosnan undoubtedly worried whether he would ever find happiness again. But with the help of his new wife, he was able to overcome the grief of his loss and conquer his depression. But sometimes life can throw some pretty cruel curveballs. Can you imagine how heartbroken he must have been in 2013 when his daughter Charlotte met the same fate of her mother and lost her battle with ovarian cancer as well? If he didn't have Smith in his life, he might have buried himself in his sorrow. But with her help, the two were able to make it through the loss and come out on the other side of the faith-testing chapter as one of the healthiest and most well-adjusted couples in Hollywood. Even when Brosnan has engaged in a little bit of on-screen hot and heavy action with other women in his films, his wife has always stuck by his side. Pierce told the Daily Mirror in 2013 she has a great sense of humor about the whole thing, and she has utter faith and a sense of security in their relationship. The media can be cruel. For no reason but the fact that she isn't exactly thin, the media has come down heavy on Smith. When TMZ acquired pictures of her in a bikini several years ago, they captioned the image with "00 no," and the rest of the article was even more insensitive. Brosnan, on the other hand, could care less about what the tabloids have to say. He told Vogue in 2006 he loves his wife's curves. No matter what woes and troubles were thrown at the couple, they endured. Even 27 years later, the duo still appears to be the epitome of a happy couple. When celebrating their big silver anniversary a couple of years ago, he summed up their relationship very poignantly by posting on Instagram these heartfelt words. "Thank you for the love, my love, of these past 25 years onwards." And not surprisingly, his nearly 700,000 followers responded in full force with congratulatory messages and well wishes. Smith responded by posting a picture from their wedding day along with the message, "Life is beautiful with you in it." It's refreshing to see a couple of Hollywood relationships not go down in flames. It seems like most unions in Tinseltown are doomed from the start, but not Goldie and Kurt or Pierce and Keely's. Which love story do you find to be the most touching out of the two we covered in this video? Let us know what you think in the comments section. And before you go, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications by tapping the bell icon so you can keep up with all our latest video releases.